Let's get right into it. Number 6. The Richat Structure. Imagine you're an astronaut, floating in the silent vacuum of space. As you look down at the Earth, your eyes drift over the vast, monotonous expanse of the Sahara Desert. But then, you see it. Staring back at you from the sands of Mauritania is what looks like a giant, multi-ringed bullseye, a colossal eye, drawn in the desert. This is the Richat Structure, also known as the Eye of Africa, and it is absolutely massive. We're talking about a structure that is 25 miles, or 40 kilometers across. To put that in perspective, that's like someone dropped a city the size of Paris right in the middle of the desert. It's so enormous that you can't even perceive its shape when you're on the ground. Its true form is only visible from orbit. In fact, this thing is so perfectly circular that early astronauts on the Gemini missions used it as a critical landmark to get their bearings. It's like nature decided to build its own version of a Google Maps pin, right in the middle of nowhere. For years, scientists thought it must be an impact crater from a massive meteor, but there's no evidence of an impact. There's no melted rock, no shocked quartz, none of the telltale signs of a cosmic collision. The official explanation today is that it's a geological dome, a natural formation created by layers of rock being pushed up from below and then eroding over millions of years. But erosion rarely, if ever, creates something with this degree of geometric precision. The concentric circles are so exact, it looks like someone took a cosmic compass and drew them in the sand. This is where the story takes a turn. Some researchers believe this might be the remains of the legendary lost city of Atlantis. In his dialogues, the ancient Greek philosopher Plato described Atlantis as a city built of massive concentric rings of land and water. The Richat structure not only matches the circular layout, but its measurements are eerily similar to those Plato described. And while it's now in a desert, we know the Sahara wasn't always this way. As recently as 10,000 years ago, it was a lush, green savanna, full of lakes and rivers. Geological studies confirm this specific area was once underwater. So, is it just the world's biggest and most perfect geological accident? Or are we looking at the ruins of a megastructure built by a civilization we know nothing about? A structure so large it was designed to be seen from the heavens, waiting for something or someone to come back. Number 5. The Klerksdorp Spheres. Imagine you're a miner in South Africa, digging through pyrophyllite deposits, a type of rock that formed an almost unimaginable 3 billion years ago. As you break apart the ancient stone, you find something impossible, something that looks like a crafted sphere. These are the Klerksdorp Spheres, and they are driving geologists crazy. These aren't just roundish rocks. We're talking about metallic spheres, some so remarkably spherical and exquisitely balanced that many believe they must be manufactured. Many of them have distinct parallel grooves carved around their equator, as if they were carefully turned on a lathe. Let's put that 3 billion year timeline into perspective. This was long before the dinosaurs. It was before the first fish swam in the ocean, before the first plants grew on land. Back then, the Earth would have looked more like Mars does today, just rock, water, and a thin, unbreathable atmosphere. The most advanced life form on the entire planet was basically pond scum, simple, single-celled microbes floating in a primordial soup. Nothing alive back then should have been capable of making these. And yet, here they are. Miners have pulled hundreds of these things out of the rock. Scientists, of course, have tried to explain them as natural formations. The leading theory is that they are concretions, minerals that naturally precipitate and form around a central core, like how a pearl forms around a grain of sand. But concretions are almost never perfect spheres. They're usually blob-shaped, like a potato that's trying its best to be round, but just can't quite get there. This explanation also struggles to account for the precise parallel grooves. Nature isn't usually big on parallel lines. To make things even stranger, miners have reported that some of these spheres are hollow inside, and when broken open, are filled with a strange fibrous material that turns to dust when exposed to air. It's the ancient equivalent of discovering a microchip in a medieval sword. So, what are we looking at? Are they the world's most improbable natural formations? A geological accident that pushes the boundaries of what we expect from natural processes? Or are they evidence that something else was here, billions of years before us, something intelligent that could work metal and craft perfect spheres in an oxygen-free world? Number 4. The Wolfsegg Iron Cube. It's 1885, and some workers at an Austrian coal foundry are doing their daily job, breaking apart large chunks of coal to feed the furnaces. Suddenly, one worker's pickaxe hits something hard, something metallic. As they break the block of coal open, something falls out that shouldn't be there. Inside a 20-million-year-old piece of coal is a strange, near-cubic iron object. This wasn't just some rough chunk of natural iron ore. This thing looked manufactured. It had several remarkably flat sides, with two opposite sides being rounded, and a distinct groove running around its middle, as if it was designed to be mounted, and it was found completely embedded in a seam of coal from the Tertiary period. That's about 20 million years ago. To put that in perspective, that's about 19.8 million years before the first humans even figured out how to make primitive stone tools. Our ancestors back then were basically just fuzzy little primates trying to figure out which end of a banana to peel. They certainly weren't running around with precision manufacturing equipment. The cube was about 2.6 by 2.6 by 1.8 inches and weighed around 1.7 pounds. Scientists at the time were baffled. Early analysis suggested it might be a form of artificial iron, and they determined it was not a meteorite, nor was it a natural formation of pyrite, which can sometimes form in cubic crystals. The apparent artificiality was too great. It seemed to be a manufactured object from a time before any known manufacturers existed. This was as out of place as finding a smartphone in a fossil. But then, the story gets even stranger. The cube just vanished. Sometime around 1910, this potentially world-changing piece of evidence simply disappeared from the museum's collection. All we have now are the original reports, detailed drawings, and a single plaster cast. Who had the technology to make such objects 20 million years ago, and why did they make it? Was it part of a larger machine, a tool, and who took it from the museum? Some people think it was hidden away by mainstream science because it challenged our entire understanding of history. Others say it might have been evidence of an ancient, pre-human advanced civilization. Whatever the case, the Wolfsegg iron cube remains a perfectly shaped, 20-million-year-old question mark. Number 3. Adam's Calendar. In the mountains of Mpumalanga, South Africa, there's a massive stone circle that has some researchers rewriting history books. Known as Adam's Calendar, a few researchers propose this ancient site is over 75,000 years old. While this date is highly debated by mainstream archaeologists, if it were true, that would make Stonehenge, which is about 5,000 years old, look like it was built yesterday. This is so old that when it was supposedly built, our species, Homo sapiens, was just getting started. The site consists of huge stones, some weighing up to 5 tons, arranged in a large, deliberate circle on the edge of a cliff. The stones are aligned with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west. Proponents of the ancient date theory say it gets more complex, with alignments to the solstices and equinoxes. On the summer solstice, the shadow of a central monolith is said to fall exactly on a specific marker stone several feet away. Even more incredibly, proponents claim the site appears to be aligned with the stars, specifically the 3 main stars in Orion's belt. This is the same alignment famously found at the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, but this calendar would predate the pyramids by more than 70,000 years. It's presented as a sophisticated astronomical observatory that could track the seasons. It's like finding out your caveman ancestor didn't just have a pointy stick, he had a Rolex. According to our conventional timeline, humans 75,000 years ago were supposed to be hunter-gatherers, focused on basic survival, not celestial mechanics. They weren't supposed to have the astronomical knowledge or the engineering skill to build something like this. This theory is supported in part by the site's strange acoustic properties. If you stand in the center of the circle, your voice creates a powerful echo that doesn't happen anywhere else on the mountain. We have no idea who built it. The oldest human remains found in the area are nowhere near old enough to be the builders, if the 75,000-year date is correct. And Adam's Calendar isn't alone. There are hundreds of thousands of similar stone circle ruins scattered across southern Africa. So either our understanding of early human history is incomplete, and our ancestors were more advanced than we ever imagined, or something else was playing with giant rocks 75,000 years ago, leaving behind a calendar that, some claim, still works perfectly today. Number 2. The Quimbaya Airplanes. In a museum in Bogota, Colombia, nestled amongst other ancient artifacts, are a collection of small, unassuming gold trinkets. At first glance, you might dismiss them, but look closer, and you'll see something that shouldn't exist. These little golden objects, crafted by the Quimbaya civilization between 500 and 800 CE, bear a striking resemblance to modern airplanes. I'm not talking about vague, could-be-anything shapes. These things have features that are distinctly aerodynamic. They have delta wings, much like a modern fighter jet. They have a streamlined fuselage, a distinct cockpit area, and most tellingly, a tail with a vertical stabilizer and horizontal tailplanes. These are features you only see on aircraft, designed for stability and control during flight. For decades, mainstream archaeologists insisted they were nothing more than stylized zoomorphic figures, representations of birds, fish, or insects. But that explanation starts to feel incomplete. Birds don't have perfectly straight wings and vertical tail fins. Fish don't have wings at all. The debate might have ended there. But then, in the 1990s, a team of German aeronautical engineers decided to put the theory to the test. They built scaled-up replicas of these birds, and after fitting them with engines and making some modifications to the wing shape for stability, they tried to fly them. The result was astonishing. The modified designs proved to be remarkably airworthy, performing stable, controlled flight, while the original trinkets themselves wouldn't fly. This test suggests the Quimbaya may have had a sophisticated grasp of aerodynamic principles that wouldn't be discovered for another 1,000 years. This is a civilization that, as far as we know, didn't even have the wheel for transport. Yet, somehow, they were creating miniature models of what appear to be flying machines. It's like finding a detailed blueprint for an iPhone in King Tut's tomb. So, how is this possible? Did the Quimbaya have knowledge passed down from an even older, more advanced civilization that has been lost to history? Or is it that 1,000 years ago, something that was definitely not a bird streaked across the skies of Colombia, and the master goldsmiths of the Quimbaya did the only thing they could? They recorded what they saw, creating golden replicas of a technology they couldn't possibly understand. Number 1. The Coso Artifact. In 1961, 3 friends were out collecting rocks near Olancha, California, searching for geodes to sell in their gift shop. They cracked open one particular rock, but instead of the beautiful crystals they expected, they found something that simply shouldn't exist. It was a device that looked just like a modern spark plug, encased in what they believed was a 500,000-year-old geode. Finding this would be like finding an AirPod in a dinosaur's ear canal. It's an object completely out of place in time. The artifact had a porcelain cylinder and a metal shaft, just like the spark plugs we use in cars today. When it was examined with X-rays, the images were even more shocking. You could clearly see a tiny spring, a metal cap, and a threaded core. The metal had corroded into iron oxide, but you could still make out the distinct hexagonal shape of the outer casing, just like the part a mechanic would use a wrench on. This thing was found inside what appeared to be a geode. Think of a geode as nature's surprise egg. It's a hollow rock that forms over thousands, sometimes millions of years, as minerals slowly crystallize inside. The crucial thing is, you can't just stuff something inside a geode. It has to form around whatever's in there. According to the initial geological estimates, this particular type of rock takes at least 500,000 years to form. That's 498,000 years before humans even invented the first wheel, let alone the internal combustion engine. So either we were looking at evidence of a highly advanced ancient civilization that had cars 500,000 years ago, or something really, really weird was going on. Theories ran wild. Some researchers suggested it was definitive proof of ancient advanced civilizations, a lost chapter of history that our textbooks completely ignore. Others thought it was proof of time travelers who perhaps had car trouble during a trip to the Pleistocene epoch and had to leave a spare part behind. For decades, the mystery of the Coso artifact was a cornerstone of out-of-place artifact lore. But when scientists finally got to do a thorough analysis in the 1990s, the mystery began to unravel. They identified the object. It wasn't just like a spark plug. It was a spark plug. Specifically, a 1920s-era Champion spark plug, the kind used in Ford Model T and Model A engines, which were common in mining and exploration vehicles in that very area. So what about the 500,000-year-old rock? It turns out, it wasn't a geode after all. It was a concretion. Under the right conditions, with mineral-rich water and clay, a concretion can form around an object much, much faster than we thought. The spark plug probably got dropped or stuck in some mineral-rich mud, and over a few decades, not 500,000 years, the minerals hardened and crystallized around it. It's like when you forget a sandwich in the back of your fridge, and it fossilizes into a rock-hard science experiment within a few weeks. In the end, all those ancient alien theories, all those time travel conspiracies, were for nothing. It was just a rusty old car part that got a little too friendly with some California mud. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.